Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. This is great. Okay, so you're on stage. You're wearing these again. You seem to be a really a pajama actor.
Pajamas again.
You're a pajama actor.
It's just an excuse to not wear clothes.
It's so sad to be typecast.
Oh dear, that is
I love
funny.
it. Okay, so you're on stage. There's the 80% of the image is black. So there's basically very stark lighting on stage. There's a crib in the background. There's a guy. It looks like he's mic'd. He looks like he has a mic off his face, but he's holding up. He's holding up probably a doll. He's in his pajamas. You're both wearing slippers.
Yes.
This looks like a comedic moment because you're looking at him with this nice little expression of like, okay, I'm watching you do your thing, whatever it is. So what is this photo?
Yeah, really fun. I'm trying to think what year. I believe this was 2019. That was a piece that my husband and I did together at the Big Bear Theater Project. It's outside of Los Angeles.
Oh, nice.
Up in the mountains.
Oh, wow.
And so some friends of ours, run that theater. And my friend Christine that I had mentioned that, participated in the camp as a writing specialist. Was in a writing workshop, and a friend of hers had written this piece, and they were doing a night of original pieces that were all about love. And this was a really funny piece called Maria, where the husband gets caught singing musical theater show tunes to the baby. Mm-hmm. And the wife is just absolutely furious. We talked about this. What did I tell you about the musical theater? And there's a whole sort of, do you want our son to be an actor? And it was just a great actor bashing, very ironic, to play that and to get to work with him and whatever. So just I guess another example of, when you make these connections with great people and all of a sudden, they're working on something and they're like, hey, guess what we're doing? We're putting together this thing about, you guys want to be in it, And
Nice.
it's just, it became for me such an essential way of surviving as an artist in LA was like, oh, I don't have to keep auditioning for people that I've never met who know nothing about what I have to give.
Yeah.
We can create stuff ourselves.
Sure.
We can produce our own stuff. So, So I guess that's what that's about.
I love that you're a couple who do acting together. That's really sweet. I love. Okay, so as a funny moment of convergence, one of the previous guests, I think she lives in. I think it might be. I may have forgotten the town, but I think it's Big Bear in California. It's high.
Really?
Isn't that funny? Like she was living in Hong Kong as a psychotherapist, a clinical psychologist, and she just left Hong Kong because of the politics and all this stuff. And her new boy, her partner, they moved to California, and I think it's Big Bear, which is really funny.
That is very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not that big of a city. It's up in the mountains. And
exactly.
Okay.
That's what she described as well. The podcast is about inspire. Okay, every moment is a gift. Life is precious. Every moment is a gift.
Yes.
How can we make the most out of every second? Okay, how do we make every second count? And you two meet, and you're kind of like, okay, there's this. On the one hand, there's this industry and these tensions around your craft or the work that you find valuable that you don't connect with.
When you say tensions, do you mean are you still talking about the Me Too movement?
Well, yeah, all of it. It's just at the end of the day, like, for example, we're all hustling.
Yes, true.
My wife works at the university. She's hustling. Everybody's hustling. But how you guys have made your choices and essentially designed your lives to say, okay, well, we're going to do stage productions and we're going to make a life in this direction. And so how can somebody's listening to this who's maybe not 20 years old, but is actually 40 years old, who's thinking, acting? I wonder, what could you say to them that would sort of fan whatever flame is in their gut to go into acting?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Finally.
I mean, I think if you're still thinking about it at age 40, my instinct is that's something that's been burning in you for a while, that you need to explore that. I mean, I think I might say it about anything. You're going to regret it if you don't
Hmm.
explore it. But acting is, taught me almost everything that I know about life. I mean,
Hmm.
I could talk all day about the merits of acting. My program, the first program I developed was called Acting for Life, because honestly, empathy, collaboration, teamwork, managing my emotions, reading other people's cues, like, that everything you need to know you learned in kindergarten, sort of,
Hmm.
is a similar thing. Like
Right.
everything that I know about relationships and working with people in the business world, and creating art, as I learned in drama class. And I feel like if you teach it right, if you really care about getting into someone's psychology and picking up on somebody else's emotions and receiving what they send you on the stage, and responding and staying present with them and not
Hmm.
overthinking it. These are life skills.
Sure. Of
They're
course.
not
Of
just
course.
acting skills.
Um, shall we move on to the next photo?
Sure, you're the boss.
SDG is in the house. Let's make it happen. Okay. Oh, this photo. Okay. So in the other images, it's you either in a crowd or you on stage in front of a crowd, or which is okay. So what was the
With
first
the
thing you said?
girls.
Remember what the first thing you said to me when we started talking about acting? And I said, "Oh, wow, that's pretty dark." About act about sort of immersing yourself in a character in somebody else, right? So what
Yes.
did you say? Do you remember?
I said a lot of things.
Yeah,
You
you
need to
did.
start over. What?
No,
I'm not sure.
well, because the whole thing with acting is you're given a character, you're given a person, you're
Yeah.
given a story that you immerse yourself in.
Yes.
And so, in a way, and you say everything you learned about life, you learned through acting, which is about sort of putting yourself in somebody else's story, in somebody else's dialogue. And then we have this photo in front of my face, which is called Steph Guell, Guell.
Oh. Oh yeah. It's at Park Güell in Spain.
In Spain. Okay, so you're standing
Yes.
there hugging the
Yeah.
column that looks like a tree.
Yes, it is a concrete tree. Very good.
Okay, so what am I looking at? It's basically the shot is just of there's like two other tourists in the background that you can't really notice. It's a sunny day. There are nice trees behind you, but
Yeah.
you're on this sort of like concrete with sort of, it looks like pebbles or cobblestones. It's a very organic looking sort of space in that it's like
Yes.
it's all very brown and earthy, and you're giving a hug. Like it's like when people imagine a
Like
tree hugger in British
exactly.
Columbia, you're giving it this like embrace to this building, this edifice. So what are we looking at?
Yeah, and I think you described it perfectly. I mean, it's I'm glad you got the tree hugging reference. That's definitely how I was feeling when I
We're
was there. And
Canadians. We are Canadians.
yeah, we're Canadians, and it's Park Güell, so it's designed by Gaudi. He's an artist, a
Hmm.
Spanish artist, and half of Barcelona is filled with his buildings. But Park Güell is the one place where you can see all of his creations in one place.
Okay.
And his specialty was sort of ergonomic. He liked everything rounded.
Hmm.
There's another great picture that's all sort of archways, but they're not straight. The whole thing sort of bends like a
Right, right,
beam of
right.
light. So I was just amazed by the art that we saw there. We kind of planned our trip around museums and places like Park Well because we needed the inspiration, and I think you
Hmm.
do kind of run dry as an artist, especially if you get involved in something like a 4-year fight in politics or something, and all of a sudden,
Right.
you kind of forget about the beauty and the inspiration, and it's important to find places and spaces where you can just remember, oh my god, this is what we're capable of creating. Like a person
Okay.
designed this, he made this,
Yeah.
and then he decided he wanted it to
Yeah.
be round, and then he decided, it's just extraordinary. And to stand there and look at something else that someone else made that's beautiful is it's nurturing for me.
Hmm.
That sound corny.
No. Don't that's it sounds perfect. It's everything is just right. Everything is just the way it has to be. So we off and on having a conversation for I think it's been about 47 hours now because
Okay.
of the tech
Yeah, right.
difficulties. So first of all, thank you.
Thank
You must be
you.
very tired. You must be dehydrated.
I might take a
But
sip of water, but I'm all right.
feel free, go for it.
Okay.
Okay, so how do we tie these amazing like I don't think we have time to go through all of the photos, but let's take the next 5 minutes
Okay.
or to please take the next 5 minutes to kind of okay, let's say right now you're communicating for some anonymous audience, your own experience. Okay, fine. And your own history and your own mentality and your own thinking. But in a way, what we're doing right now is we're creating a snapshot of your life and your thinking and your thought patterns at this moment that later you can look back on and listen to yourself and go like, okay, so that's where my head was at. So
It's a lot of pressure.
there's no pressure. But as an educational moment or as a communicative moment, as a performance, how do we put out into the world a thought or an idea that helps another person go, oh, yeah, let me try that. Can we create an epiphany in another person to realize something about either about acting or about getting active politically or about teaching or about just life,
Can we create that in another person? Is the question.
if you like?
I'm just I lost track of the question. I was enjoying your speech, but I lost track of the question.
People make fun of my interview style because it's not really, it's a
No.
conversation. They're just like, you just talk for a while and then you
And
kind
then
of
you
just
stop.
raise the voice. And then the person's like, is there a question? Like, I don't know. Is there? So what do you think?
I mean, what I was thinking about while you were speaking is
Yammering away.
I didn't say that, but no. What this one, particular moment in a theater teaching moment, I guess, was a young girl, and we were trying to demonstrate the method of acting. That Stanislavski, the method, and how you call on past experiences, and there's a certain age at which abstract concepts like that are understandable to kids. And when I first started working with kids, I definitely had to adapt my expectations a little bit. But there was this sort of great breakthrough moment with one girl where, we were trying to get her to say what it was she was upset about. And we'd put them in these improvisational scenes and they'd have to act out a concept or a problem. And this one girl just sort of started talking about something that it was very clear had actually happened to her. She was no longer pretending. Just halfway through the scene, she just started yelling, and you stole my friends. I trusted you. And because we were sort of poking as the acting exercise, what are you really mad at her about? What do you really want to say? What haven't you said to her? So, and she just sort of unleashed this whole thing. And I could tell that it was something that actually happened to this kid while she was at school in junior high. And I remember what girls were like at that age, So it was just sort of tapping into that emotional pain and tapping into her real emotions and how elated she was after it. Her cheeks were
Okay.
flushed, and she ran to her mom and she couldn't wait to tell her what had happened. And I think the mom was not even really fully understanding what had happened, but she's like, she is so excited whenever she comes home from the theater. She is just absolutely hooked. Like whatever it is that you guys are
Oh, wow.
selling here, so like those moments where you see that someone else has fallen in love with the craft the way that you've fallen in love with it. I can't take credit for it. I think it's something that would have happened for her at another moment with another person, but happy to be there for
But
it.
you're there. You're part of it.
Yeah.
You're part of it.
Lucky
for
me.
Sure. Stephanie, SDG. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank
you so much for this. This has been a real treat.
It has been really fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it